Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 rogue decks that are doing well in tournaments. So what classifies something as a rogue deck? Well, the main thing is it's under other. The one deck that I saw that was like doing well in tournaments that was classified as a rogue deck was Lost Zone. I don't think Lost Zone is a rogue deck. Arguably, not all these decks are rogue decks. It's up to you what you decide. But the big thing is they are classified under other as on the Play.Limitless website. And these are decks that I have not talked about too much on the channel. The first one is the Banette and Dusknoir deck, though. This is one I've talked about a little, just like mentioned it. I think I was making a tier list and I had this deck, and honestly, I don't think it's that good, but I think it's kind of fun. It's one that it's definitely fun to play as well. But we have Banette EX here with its ability or its attack here that says it does 30 damage for one psychic and item locks your opponent. So they can't play any items from their hand. You have Poltergeist as well, which is 60 for each trainer in your opponent's hand. They reveal it after you attack. So it's kind of interesting. The idea is you're going to set up here behind Banette EX and then get your Dusknoirs into play, which knock themselves out and deal 13 damage or place 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. You also have one copy of Dusclops, but the idea is to use Dusknoir, which you can actually you knock out a Dusknoir, then Night Stretcher it back, and then Rare Candy it again. So you can actually just Dusknoir 4 times, even though you just have 3 of them. That's completely doable. Then the list also plays this Banette, which is a really cool card, letting you put a supporter from your discard pile into your hand if you lost some Banette. So it's just a solid card. But the big thing is the item lock Banette plus the Dusknoir combo. You also have Radiant Alakazam. You have Blood Moon Ursaluna EX as well as an attacking option at the end of the game. I don't think this deck. I don't know. If you drop item lock, this is the big issue with item lock. If you drop it, like you just aren't able to do it one turn, then all of a sudden your opponent plays all their items. This is the big reason I don't like item lock. I mean, well, no, I don't like it because it's annoying, but I don't think it's great because, as I said, if you drop it, then all of a sudden your opponent plays all their items. It's not actually the optimal time to do so, right? So they might, they'd certainly rather play them earlier, and spending them all at one time isn't really great. And also, if they like hold them back, then they can poltergeist, or then you can poltergeist, or you could just everlasting darkness to item lock them again. But still, I feel like it's not amazing. Also, it item locks turn 2. You cannot item lock turn 1, so your opponent will always have a chance to play their items. And if they go first, then they'll have 2 turns to play them. So they very well maybe getting other stage 2s up if they're a stage 2 deck. However, if they're like Charizard. Well, they can Charmeleon. I don't know. It gets a little weird, but they're probably not Charmeleon. They can't get Pidgeot EX into play, so it's good against Pidgeot EX, Charizard EX. I don't know, like Gardevoir EX doesn't play Rare Candy. It's certainly disrupting that deck, but it's not as big of a deal. Same thing with like Dragapult. They play lots of stage 1s, and then Archeops. I mean, that's a stage 2, but that's just entirely different. So it isn't like super great against the meta, and even Charizard, like they just one-shot you. I don't like that this deck is bad against Ancient Box, but it is a solid deck. It's a really fun deck to play where you're like setting up for these big combo returns. You can actually knock out all your opponent's Pokemon. That's a very valid thing that you can do with the deck. If they don't draw any supporters, aren't able to, of course, get any Pokemon to play because of the item lock, then that's really good. Also, you play Pokestop, which is pretty fun and kind of annoying to your opponent because stadiums are supposed to be two-sided, but if they do it, they can't play any of the cards they get off of Pokestop because they're all items. So, yeah, Banette EX is a really, really solid deck right now. Also, I said that they can always play items. Well, they can, but the big thing that is nice is Enveloping Shadow. On a coin flip, you item lock your opponent as the basic, so getting heads there could be really, really important. But I do think the deck's like kind of fun. You're able to control prizes pretty well, so you can use counter catcher. There's only one counter catcher in this list, but there's prime catchers, so controlling that's like kind of cool. And also you have Ionos to really mess with your opponent. But overall, yeah, it's definitely I'd say a pretty fun deck, especially one that's like, despite being a pseudo control deck where you have serious amounts of item lock, that's like the main point of the deck. You do have a lot of attacking options, which is pretty neat. The next deck we have here is going to be, I didn't even like realize this. It's another item lock deck, which is Venomoth, stage 1. For 1 grass, you item lock and confuse your opponent's active, and this is paired with Froslass. This is the only Froslass deck I'm going to be showing off. There also are just like Froslass box decks, which are kind of fun, but you Venomoth, so they're item locked. This slows them down, and then as you're slowing them down, you're also damaging them through Froslass. This is a really powerful combo. This is my preferred item lock deck, not being super terrible against. This is like way better against Ancient Box because not only do they not, I mean, they still are probably one-shotting you, but they're not one-shotting you for 2 prizes. They're not hitting you for weakness, and you're hitting them for weakness, which is really nice. Also, the confusion, that's like, okay, I guess. It's not very good in that matchup because they probably just attach the tool, Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, which will turn off the confusion. You do have Jamming Tower, though. I don't know. I haven't really played this deck that much, or Ancient Box either, so I don't know exactly how that matchup goes. But you have Venomoth, which is just super solid. It's a single prize version of Banette. Its typing is worse as well. The Dusknoir list plays other psychic Pokemon that can attack using psychic energy. So, for example, you have Monkey Dory in this deck, and you can't use that to attack with. You can use its ability, though, and just get tons of damage in play. Against decks that don't have abilities, it's still not good. It's pretty bad, but it's a pretty fun deck, in my opinion, to play with. It's more straightforward. You're not like spreading the damage around exactly where you want it. It's kind of forced where you have to put it, but I think this deck is still cool. I'm interested in hearing down below in the comments, though, which one between the Venomoth and the Bayonet decks you like more or dislike more, because Item Lock is definitely annoying. This deck, actually, no, both are Iono heavy decks. We see like Carmen for some turbo-y stuff. There's Arazu as well, searching for 3 evolutions without Roboxes, which is a pretty fun card. Next up, though, we got ourselves another Dusknoir deck. This one is really interesting. It's a dark box deck, I guess. It plays and I haven't played this deck. I've played the other two, I believe. Just a few games with each. I've played yeah, just a few. But in this deck here, it's Darkrai V-Star, which does 2 things. It has attack 30 for each Darkness Energy attached to all your Pokemon, and Star Abyss recovers 2 items from your discard to your hand, which can of course be Dark Patches to accelerate Darkness Energy, do more damage, or well, there can be a lot of things, but they can be rare candies, which is kind of cool. They can be prime catchers, so they have a lot of versatility. Also, 4 Caps and Night Stretch are really powerful there, with specifically the V-Star power and Pokestop as well. Then, and also the amount of attackers. There's the main one, Roaring Moon EX, as well as Darkrai V-Star, and then there's also Morpeko, which you can attack with. You have you have Pekka EX, which allows for like pivots and stuff, but also allows you to have it as an attacking option. It does 60 damage. Its ability lets you swing a Darkness Pokemon into the active, but it does 60 for each prize your opponent's taken. Keep in mind, if you want to switch Pekka EX to the active, you can't do that. You have to like retreat into it, or like play another switch or whatever, because its ability does not work on itself. But then you also have Pheasantipty EX, which is 100 Snipe, which is like a fun and solid attacking option. I haven't really used it much in decks that have played it. I'll mention again in hearing down below in the comments, if people have attack with Pheasantipty EX in a lot of decks, or really much at all, there are lots of different decks that play it, and most of those decks can theoretically power it up. But I feel like that's pretty rare. I might have done it with Charizard EX once or twice, but that's like kind of niche. But it's an interesting attacker. In Dusknoir here, like plus Pheasantipty is a powerful sniping option potentially. But yeah, I think the Dusknoir line is pretty fun. It's not my personal favorite in the game, but I know a lot of people love it. It allows for some really interesting combos and stuff, but has a very steep cost. There we go. It has a big payoff, a big cost, because you're knocking yourself out, giving up prizes to your opponent, but then you can combo with the Iono, but this deck doesn't do that. This isn't barely plays any supporters at all. Big focus on items, probably really terrible against those item lock decks, specifically the Venomoth deck, which hits you for weakness. But definitely a really, really cool deck here with some different options. We don't see the Loyal 3. I mean, we see Pheasantipty EX and Pekka EX, but they're not really attackers to the same extent that the Munkidora EX or Okidogi EX are, and they're just nowhere to be found here. But it is a big focus on like a Dark Box Roaring Moon EX style deck, which is pretty cool. And the next deck, this is one that I've seen popping up in a few different places. This is one I made a video, maybe multiple videos about in the past, and that is Seaking Thwackey, which is, Seaking is a Swim Freely Pokemon. It has the attack Swim Freely, but it has the other attack Aqua Horn, 60 base and 30 more for each water energy attached to it. And then you have Finneon, which allows you to accelerate as many basic water energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon that have Swim Freely as an attack as you want on your turn. So it's like Baxcalibur. It's a basic, but only to very specific Pokemon. Like we got this you're not attacking with that. That's like essentially impossible. But you do have water energy and then a reversal energy as well. Then you have the Goldeen with Festival Lead, which I don't know, it matters that it has it. It doesn't like do anything in the deck. But Boom Boom Groove here says if your active Pokemon has Festival Lead, you can search your deck for any card, and put it into your hand. You can use multiple Thwackeys per turn as well. The deck only plays 2, but you can still do that. Then you have a wide variety of other cards. Of course, a lot of energy retrieval cards and energy recovery cards. You got like Night Stretcher, which isn't mainly used for energy recovery, but can be, and then Lana's Aid, which gets energies and Pokemon. So that's a pretty cool addition to the deck. But of course, the really cool thing is the Thwackey. And my favorite thing is we also see 3 copies of Letter of Encouragement, searching out 3 basic energy from your deck into your hand if you're knocked out last time, which seems like a lot, but that's kind of interesting. We have Neutralization Zone as well, which was also played in this deck, the Venomoth deck, but sorry, that's not it. What it says is that prevent all damage done to the Pokemon, probably your Pokemon in this case, that don't have a rule box by attacks from your opponent's EX and Vs, aka most rule box Pokemon. It cannot be recovered, but that doesn't matter here. So that's really good against certain decks. Also, Thornton's fun, allowing you to do certain cool combos. However, the combos you need to pull off are also it's really hard to set them up, and the only reason you need them is if you don't really have the Thwackey or the Goldeen, but it's still cool. And definitely a deck that I would highly recommend. It's really fun because you get like this insane control, and then you're like it's a weird deck, but it's pretty cool. Then the last deck here we have is like a it's a control list. It's kind of weird. This is a Bouffalant. Well, it has Mimikyu. It's a Mimikyu Bouffalant control list, I'd say. You have Mawile to trap Pokemon in the active, a bunch of like normal control stuff here. Zoroark's Machinations, Area Misfortune Sisters to disrupt their hand. Then you also have Horse Domestic Urupan EX to wall. I'm so used to control lists not like fitting on one screen the way I do it, but this one does, so that's kind of cool. The same way that other lists would. So this one is the same size. It has less cards, but same number of rows. So then this deck here has Bouffalant, though, as the main attacker, which says, or one of the main attackers, saying put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon in the Lost Zone, and that's really cool. It's 3 energy, though. It does do 50 damage, 30 with double turbo energy, but this is the card that one of the cards I'm most excited to play with Stellar Crown coming out because this has 130 HP. But there's another Bouffalant that's going to say that this one takes 60 less damage from attacks, putting it up to essentially 190. Then you attach Bravery Charm, which is in this deck, or Hero's Cape. Then all of a sudden you're up to 240 or 290, which is a lot of HP, especially on a single phase Pokemon that is a basic, that is a control Pokemon. So really, really cool there. Not a deck I was expecting to see before Stellar Crown, but here it is. We also have Mimikyu, of course, to wall basic Pokemon, or sorry, wall any Pokemon EX or V. You have, of course, Domestic Urupan EX to wall Pokemon with abilities. We have Mist Energy to wall Pokemon dealing damage or dealing effects of attacks, such as damage counters, or such as Roaring Moon EX, Dragapult EX, things like that, and Mawile to trap stuff. And then also you can do get value out of the extra damage. You trap something, then hit for 90 more, which is pretty cool. But anyways, I just wanted to show off some what I consider rogue decks, but tell me what rogue decks you have been playing and which of these are your favorite. But I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.